1, 2, 3, 4, 5, let's go! Beaming to you from the plastic microphone studios deep in the heart of Cajun country, this is Fave 5 for Fans. I'm your host, Jamie Ray, and I'd like to thank you for joining us. Us? Could that mean two people? Anyway, we have got another hilarious show lined up for you out there in the podcast universe. Today, through a string of perfectly timed, I can't even believe the kismet that I had to make this happen. The universe has seen fit to deliver unto us my co-host from the East Coast, the internationally recognized Captain Dr. Astronaut Mouseketeer herself, Scout Greene. Live and in person!
I'm finally here!
Welcome to the Plastic Microphone Studios! And we're not zooming!
It only took a whole pandemic
What?
and a 14-hour car drive here to make it today.
Yep.
But you guys are worth it. And our topic of today
What is our topic
is
for today?
definitely worth it. Not that I would not drive for you, because I would.
Yeah.
I really would. But the man,
Kinda
the myth,
worth it.
the man, the myth, the legend that is not Jamie Ray that we are discussing today
Could have on
is
show.
Robin Williams.
Yes.
All things Robin Williams are wonderful. They're good.
Yes.
But today we landed to discuss his character portrayals.
Right.
So if I am naming it as I understand it to be, this is not necessarily, he was in this movie and I love this movie and he was in it and that's great.
Mm-hmm.
It is the way that he was able to portray that specific character.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Correct.
And-
We're on the same page.
Well, and of course, it's your page because you came up with this idea.
I did.
I was like, Robin Williams. Sure, let's do
didn't
Robin
think of
Williams.
that yet.
Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah. So
Wonderful.
I was very excited. And then literally, I think I found out today's Friday. I think I found out Wednesday that you were going to be coming this way.
No, friend. I found out last night.
That's right. That's right. For sure.
Don't get me wrong. The days all blurred together. But I was out of the country until 4 p.m. yesterday.
Yes.
And I just could not wait to do this podcast. And so I hopped in the car from North Carolina at 5:30. And listen, here I am.
Yes. And
Here I am.
your dad made us some awesome tacos.
He did. Shout out to Jen for all of her hard work and sacrifice.
Giving her
for this
blood,
meal.
sweat, and skin for that
Literally,
meal.
for this meal.
Literally.
Oh.
Love you, T.
it.
Jen.
Love you, T. Jen. Love you big time.
So,
But-
tell us a little bit about, first of all, because you've been on the show before, and
Once or twice.
everybody knows that we have a new show that we're just trying to get off the ground.
We do.
We haven't quite gotten it there yet.
We're getting all of our,
Yes.
you know,
Ducks in a proverbial row, or trash cans in the dumpster.
We're getting all of our AT walkers all lined up, getting ready to march.
Yes.
Yes, so we have a project in the works that you probably, hopefully saw or heard our last announcement.
Yes, back on
the Fave 5 channel about 2 months ago.
right here.
We do have a project. It's going to be SJ Watch Party, where you get to join us and you get to critique all of our favorite movies.
That's right. And
Yeah.
we're going to talk through the whole movie.
Yeah.
And then you can download it, and then you can start the movie, and you can listen to us a la...
We'll voice it for you. You don't even
Yes.
you don't even need to have
You can
the
even
sound
turn it
turned
off. Oh, that would be a
even
great
better.
idea.
Even better.
We should do that
We
through
should
whole
just have
movies.
it playing in the background,
What?
no sound.
Yes, and we
Even
can do
better.
but we'd write our own dialogue.
We'd write our own dialogue, but I'm sure your friend that did the podcast with you about scored movies would probably not agree with us turning the sound off completely.
No, and
maybe
he's
just
kinda
maybe
right.
just the voiceovers.
I wonder if there's a way to get just the music track for the entire movie. I bet you
I'm
there is.
sure.
Sure, somebody out there on the internet did that. Podcast Universe, if you know that person,
Send them our way.
Send them our
and
way.
I will say that, if you heard that announcement, we were going to start with Star Wars, so I know that John Williams I'm sure we just call him up. He could get that for us.
Like
yeah,
this.
that's great.
We
Anyway,
are so like that.
he just did a symphony in Charlotte. Like a week ago. I'm
He
sure
he
he
told
normally
me.
has one every couple of months. So I'll just grab him at the next one.
He called me. He was like,
Perfect.
So this is just okay. Again, I'm so excited. But in case this is your first episode, congratulations, because you have picked a winner. This is, I love you big time, my second favorite co-host.
Listen, all hail Lily.
Oh,
Bow down. And you know what? I would go a step further. Lily and Abby, of course, they have right spots 1 and 2. They have both been on the show.
Yes.
I will take solid spot
right there.
number 3,
Okay.
and I will be very happy with it.
I'm good with that.
Very happy.
I don't want to hurt any feelings. How about they can share the first and second spot?
I love
And then
that.
you can still be second.
Even better. And speaking of numbers, the way that you normally do the show, if you have not heard this before, this is Fave 5. So as that says, we normally will pick our favorite 5 of the topic at hand.
Right.
And then you are so generous to allow 1 to 2 honorable mentions that don't necessarily make the cut for your absolute favorite 5, but whether for good reasons or for bad, you gotta bring it up.
I could not have said it better.
It's almost like I've heard you say that script before.
Maybe today, as a matter of fact.
I mean,
But you are so right. And especially, we like to talk about the fact that these movies are favored, okay? Or these portrayals are favored, or these episodes are favored. So we really try to listen and understand where it's coming from somebody. And there's been some pretty amazing stories along the way. One of particularly comes to mind is our favorite, when we talked about Star Wars moments. And as a person of my age, The Phantom Menace is not one of my favorites. And then when we got to the end, the pod race in The Phantom Menace was your favorite.
It was, which I felt like I got a lot of hate on, but
not
from you.
Okay.
But what's wonderful that I love about the show is I was able to explain that no, The Phantom Menace is not my favorite film out of the series, but there was something about that one moment that stuck with me for such a long time, and it meant so much to me that is what made it my favorite.
Right.
So these are not your favorites. They're not y'all's favorites listening out there, but you know what?
And watching.
We're on video, y'all. I brushed my hair today just for you guys.
I see a little sparkle around there.
Did you see?
I do.
I mean, I try. It's probably just the tiredness from
How
that
about
drive
me?
today.
I did a
Aww,
little bit.
look at that. Straight lines in the beard.
I know, right?
I love it.
Like
Look
that.
at
I sneezed right here, but anyway.
Oh.
So she's so right. So it's our favorites, but we do love to hear if you have your own favorite. So after the show, go into the liner notes and find us on Twitter at Fave, the number 5 from fans. Found Scout on Twitter.
At Scouty4.
And we should make someone who's something 3 and just end up like making a group.
Yes.
Yeah,
let's do that. Let's get that done. Let's get it done.
So after you've so eloquently explained the honorable mentions, I think that if you're ready, we could segue, because I know you only have 1 or 2 honorable mentions, not 14.
I have learned before, as you have mentioned on the last show, that I like to point out I have been on here before, so I will say, I know your ruling, and so I did keep it to 2 this time.
You did?
And I'm going to just impress you in a way that you're not really going to believe. I didn't even do a umbrella type category this time.
What?
I know, pick that jaw off the floor.
Cool.
I really stuck to the rules on this list, and I will tell you, I struggled. And this is a topic that we talked about months ago. I mean, there was still cool air outside. I started making this list on a hike in Crowder's Mountain, Charlotte represent. But when I started to nail down this list, and, like I said, we've been working on it for months, and I really only finished finalizing it today. And I feel like, because we're picking topics that we love so much, it inherently makes it that much harder to pick what your favorites would be. So something that, I feel like we all try to do, because it's the point of the show, is to pick, again, what's the most meaningful to us.
Right.
So just for myself, because I am a huge Robin Williams fan, I have to precursor all of it as my favorite.
Right.
So I really had to work, and what really outlined my list this time was what had a personal, deep meaning to me.
Yeah, and that's great.
Right? So I will say my honorable mentions are movies that maybe did not necessarily have that very personal connection to me, but I just really, really loved them for his character portrayal.
Right, and he was a master.
Right, and of everything.
Yeah.
But anyway, what a wonderful list. I mean, he gives us almost all good things to pick from.
Mm-hmm.
There's only really one work, I think, that I can think about that I did not like. But we can talk about that at another point in time.
Okay.
Because I did not carve out any negative review.
Wow, okay.
For honorable mentions. Because
awesome.
For me, I felt like Robin deserved more than that.
It would be very hard to find.
It would be hard.
To find something so bad that you had to talk about it for this guy.
Oh, it was on my list until a couple hours ago. I'm going to be honest with you. It was that bad.
Really?
It was that bad.
Patch Adams?
It was worse. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You haven't seen it, I promise. It's like, it was just awful.
Okay, all right.
We'll get to it. We'll get to it. But
okay.
as you have mentioned, I am the guest, so I think that I will go first.
You do get to go first.
So remind me, would you like me to give you both of my honorable mentions at once?
Well, not at once because the words would overlap themselves. But why don't you give me one honorable mention and then follow it with your other?
Okay.
Yeah, a little more linear.
Okay. Well, my first honorable mention is going to be the 1978 sitcom Mork and Mindy.
Nanu-Nanu!
Yes!
So you've seen this?
Yes. So I did not see this until like 2 years ago, actually.
Really?
So Happy Days I think that was my first sitcom, and I loved Happy Days. And for whatever reason, I did not remember the Mork episode.
Oh, the 2 episodes.
The 2 episodes. Right. I didn't remember that at first.
And neither did Richie or anybody else. You still there?
That's the end of the podcast, folks. Good night. But shout out to my Uncle Todd. You know, he's been off living in Japan, and he came back. Thanks. And we had some conversation, and he brought it up, and I was like, do tell. I love Robin Williams. I love Happy Days. You know, explain to me what I don't remember. And he showed me an episode, and I ran with that, and I just loved it. So, again, there was nothing in that just, like, so struck me in a way that I was like, oh, my God, I love that. But, I think one of the things that I love about Robin that, will be my theme throughout this whole podcast episode is his range.
Oh, my God,
right?
Yes.
I mean, the fact that this man could portray this alien the way that he did, I mean, it was...
This list is
wonderful.
One of the widest ranges I think I've ever done.
Yeah. So this is my last precursor then before I give you my second one. And then we will get into the show. Okay. But I'm really hoping that we don't have an overlap today.
Okay.
And I know we have done that before, but he has so many good ones that I'm really hoping that we can talk about as many as possible. So I'm really hoping that we don't have an overlap. So we'll see.
Gonna see.
I was wondering if you were going to have a Mork and Mindy on there, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, so Mork and Mindy, if you don't know, it was a character that Robin Williams came in as a guest star on the sitcom Happy Days. Right. For not one, but two episodes. 2 episodes. And those Happy Days episodes were so highly rated that they ended up giving him his entire own spin-off series.
That's right.
Where he was an alien navigating Earth and collecting data about human behavior, and it's just wonderful.
It was a good show.
It was a very good show. It's very good. But that is my first honorable mention.
That is a good one.
It is. Yeah, I like that. So, my second one. This is what I've changed today.
Oh, okay.
Because originally, I did have the -1 listed here.
Mm-hmm.
And I really struggled with where to put this one on the list because I needed it on the list.
Okay.
But it just couldn't get in the 5. Right. It just couldn't get there. So I had to take out the negative, and I replaced that with Robin Williams' character portrayal of Daniel Hillard, better known as Mrs. Doubtfire. I think, again, it just speaks to his range.
Yes.
I mean, it's not the only movie that he gets up and plays in drag, but I'm telling you, it's just fantastic.
The other one's Birdcage?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Birdcage. Yeah. And it's just, oh my God.
Yeah. It's classic.
That, I mean, there's almost, I mean, and Sally Fields, you know, who doesn't love her?
Oh yeah.
You know,
yeah.
but
and Pierce Brosnan.
Yep.
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 Whew.
Bond.
I
James
love
Bond.
me some Bond. Shaken and not stirred. But anyway, that is my other honorable mention.
That's
and
awesome.
I could go on and on about that film and just the range that he had to display within that film.
Not just, you know, I mean, and you're right, Mrs. Doubtfire was amazing. And he portrayed Daniel with such emotion, you know, as a newly divorced father who just couldn't do anything right, you know, and he wasn't. I mean,
he was distraught.
Yeah.
You know, and
but he loved his kids so much.
And I think that that's one of the reasons why I love it so much is the directors gave him a lot of leeway.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, that's when he works best.
Well, and that's when he works best, you know, which, you know, we'll discuss in a little bit. But they really let him go and do whatever they want. And they said, we want you to make this what you want it to be. And I think the fact that he could really tap into that emotion of what a dad would have, not being able to see his kids and what he would be willing to do to be able to see them.
Yeah.
I mean, I know he didn't create that character. It's based on a British novel. But I just loved it.
He poured himself into it.
He did pour himself into it. And did you know that there's actually like, I think it's 4 or 5 versions of that film, and there was only one that was released.
No.
So they gave him so much leeway. I'm telling you, I am waiting for the day that they release
it'll come
the
out.
adult version because they gave him so much leeway, and they did so much filming for all of his impromptu moments that there were certain versions that had NC-17 and R ratings.
Oh my God.
Can you imagine an R-rated Mrs.
do?
Doubtfire?
What?
I don't know, because there's no record or recollection other than the fact that, you know, that the production company disclosed that there were other versions.
God, that would be
of the
so
film.
awesome to see.
Yeah. So
Wow.
if anybody out there in the podcast universe has a connection to an R-rated version of Mrs.
Or the
Doubtfire,
NC-17 if you're feeling kind
it
of...
doesn't either, or there's a PG-13 too. Like I will take it all. I will take it all. But yeah, Mrs.
That's a
Doubtfire.
great one. I love that one. I
That's
love
where
that.
I'm
Those
at.
2 good ones. 2 strong.
I'm
Coming in
starting strong.
Yes, you are.
I am.
Yes, you are.
He gave us good material to work with, but
Yeah.
I would love to know what your honorable mention.
So, my first honorable mention
Okay.
is actually his portrayal of a character that he played in 3 different films. And I think you know, it's him playing U.S. Cavalry pre-President Teddy Roosevelt in the Night at the Museum movies. The last one which was released posthumously, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I love this. If you haven't seen the movie before, it's a wonderful movie. It stars Ben Stiller, another divorced, distraught dad who's not doing anything right, and he gets a job as a Smithsonian guard, only to find out that all of the exhibits come alive. And Teddy Roosevelt is one of those. And as the sun comes up every day, they have to freeze back into their normal position. And it's just a great movie. He finds love in is it Sacagawea? Yeah, Sacagawea, who also comes to life, and he just gives that portrayal such a regal air to it.
Yeah.
That I just love that one.
Yeah.
There wasn't. I don't want to say there wasn't enough of him, because I think more.
I'll say that. I'll say it.
It's just, I mean, the movie wasn't about him,
Yeah.
but he was a titular character in it. So I do think that they did a very good job, and it was very subdued for him.
It was, but again, back to his range.
Back to his range.
But I think
And we're going to talk about his range a lot.
And we're going to talk about his range a lot. So, y'all just get used to that.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say it 7 more times. But I think that that's one of the things that I love about him in that film, and it did make my long list.
Yeah. Well, it had to.
It did. I mean, it had to. But I think that
That's him. So regal.
One of the reasons why I also loved that is every single character that he plays, minus the one we'll discuss later, but every single character that he plays, it's like, I mean, it was written for him.
Yeah.
He just goes in and he plays it, and you just wish that you could hang out with him.
Yeah.
I mean,
well,
at least I do.
And it's funny that you say that, hang out with him, because my other honorable mention came out when I was about 10 years old. Okay. And this was after Mork and Mindy had come out,
Yep.
and he was a powerhouse and wanted to do what he wanted to do. And this film is, I don't want to say it's widely panned, but it's definitely, I'd be very surprised if it comes up on your list.
Okay.
But I'm talking about Robin Williams' portrayal of Popeye in the movie Popeye. Okay, I see that face. You're so sweet to try to be nice.
I love Robin Williams. There's not anything you're going to say that is not going to be okay in my book. I will just say that there were very few films that didn't make my very long short list, and that one didn't make it.
Yeah.
It just didn't.
And I could see that, and that goes back to what we talk about a lot, is that for me, it was a period of my life. I used to watch the Popeye cartoons.
Yeah.
We used to read the Popeye cartoon strips, and to see him come out from, because I used to watch Mork and Mindy religiously. I think it went on for 3 or 4 years, and so I would watch it all the time. And then to see him on screen was really good. I've tried to watch it again, and it just doesn't hold up.
Yeah.
But as we've talked about before, it's the attachment that I have.
Where were you in the moment?
Exactly. And of all of the scenes, I love the scene at the very end because it is so cartoon come to life when Bluto feeds him the big old thing of spinach and throws him in the water, and then he comes out and he beats up Bluto, and he beats up the what was it, a giant octopus, I think, and Susie Ball is just, Shelley Duvall is just Popeye, oh wow.
I love it.
So anyway, I know it's not a fan favorite, but it's my
and you know
mention.
what? That's what this list is about.
That's what it's all
right?
about. It's all about me, baby.
It's all about you. It's
all
your
about
show.
Me.
It's your show.
So that would mean that we are now at your number 5. So lay it on me, sister. It's going to be good.
It's good.
Yeah.
Because it's all good. I guess this is where I reiterate just one more time again how difficult this list was.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And there's so much about Robin Williams that means so much to me, and I absolutely love the characters that were written for him.
Uh-huh.
And I'm talking about Genie from Aladdin in 1992. I mean, the struggle that I had not to make every single one of these top 5, my fave 5. Well, I didn't say the T word. I didn't. I took it back. Okay. But they're all my favorite one.
Yeah.
So this is really just so you know, these are all my favorite ones.
Okay.
I'm having to list them
in random order.
And I'm having to list them in random order.
Okay.
But,
okay.
I just love Aladdin. One, I love the film, and that film would not be what it was without Genie.
Yeah.
But more importantly, that film would not be what it was if that movie, if that character had been portrayed by anybody else.
Right. No offense to Will Smith.
No. And whole different podcast, because I've got feelings about that, and they're not negative the way that a lot of people's are.
Okay.
I enjoyed his portrayal. Uh-huh. I don't feel like they can be compared.
No.
In which Will even said that himself. He said, I'm not trying to be him. We're going to make it our own thing.
Yeah. And I've learned that at a late age, that you can't, reboots, remakes, they won't compare to them.
Yeah.
So don't even try.
Yeah. But do you know, they begged him to come play Genie.
Uh-huh.
To the point that the directors and the writers of Aladdin, in trying to scout him out for the role, they animated clips of him doing stand-up.
Mm-hmm.
And they animated him and used certain of his clips from his stand-up to really show him what the character could be, and they wanted him to have free range.
Right.
Within a Disney standard.
Yeah.
But they wanted him to have free range. Uh-huh. And when he saw that, he said, heck yeah. Signed him up. I loved it. And I guess one of my favorite little snippets from that film that just makes it so much more wonderful to me, Italian hands. But
it's a wonderful thing to me.
It's wonderful. Is I'm sure you remember in the opening scene where there's a
Peddler?
there's a peddler. I was going to say an Arabian salesman, but yes. So there's a peddler that we see who is coming and trying to sell you these random gadgets and gizmos, and it's seemingly on the surface just kind of a goofy for the kids, not really scripted, just guy trying to sell you something and get you into the beginning of the movie. And something that Disney fandom will tell you is that character is Genie, because Genie's character and this peddler's character are the only characters in the entire film that have 4 fingers.
Oh,
right?
I did not know that.
It was kind of Disney's very small Easter egg way of confirming that, yes, that is Genie.
And that would make sense because at that point in time of the movie, Genie is free. Oops, spoiler alert, sorry.
Yep, so you don't know that.
Right.
So, but I guess the little tidbit that I found cool, that's not it, as cool as that is, when they brought Robin Williams in before they ever even started doing any voiceovers or scripting or anything, they brought Robin Williams into a room and they said that they just wanted to test something out, to just improvise, go where he wanted, that they just wanted to film him and get a baseline of who he was as a person on screen with them. And so they brought him into this room and blindfolded him.
Really?
And they set him in front of a table and turned the camera on, and on this table was a random array of different items. Okay. And, he's picking them up. He's making all of this somewhat colored commentary that did not make it into the Disney film. But when you see that peddler at the beginning of the film, that script is directly taken from Robin Williams being blindfolded, standing in front of a table. Wow. And he's just picking up all these random items, and they loved it so much that they created that character at the beginning of the movie. That's awesome. So that they could fit that in.
That is awesome.
Which,
I did not know that.
So it's like little tidbits like that I just, again, I don't feel like stories like that necessarily would have existed for this film if Genie had been played by anybody else other than Robin Williams.
Yeah, I see. I agree.
So that's
a great one.
So number 5.
Like I didn't know that. 5. I did not know that.
No, I love that.
Number 5 is alive. Yep. So,
and do you know who? Just a side note. Do you know who the next lineup was? If Robin Williams, after all of that, bartering and bribing, if he had not played who the second runner-up for Genie was, John Candy. Really. Followed third by Steve Martin and then Eddie Murphy. But they never got the chance.
No, of course, because he's the best.
Because he's the best.
He's the absolute best.
But yeah. But I thought that was cool. I mean, I wouldn't have been mad to see Mr. Jamaican Bobsled out there, getting it done. But that
would have been cool. Okay, so before we go to my number 5.
I'm dying to hear it.
Okay.
You have a look in your eye.
I know. It's a bit.
Oh, man. Uh-oh.
I actually have what you could consider an honorable mention 0.5.
I mean,
or,
I'm not really allowed to tell you that you can't do that.
That's right. It is kind of my show.
I don't feel like that'd be allowed if I did it.
It wouldn't. It wouldn't. So, this, for me, goes to his range. Okay? Saw this not too long ago because I did a complete watch of SVU. Okay, and in that episode, it's called Authority. Have you ever seen this?
I haven't, but I will tell you, I thought you were getting ready to tell me Williams was on SVU and I didn't know.
Okay. So Robin Williams was on SVU and you didn't know.
I didn't know. Okay.
So, all right, so this is going to really change what I'm going to say because I want you to watch it and find it. And the episode is called Authority.
Okay.
And I will tell you that it starts out with, again, I mean, they literally rip things straight from the headlines, where a young woman is in the back of a store and she's been bound and gagged because someone, a detective, called the owner, the store clerk, and said that this woman had drugs on her. And I think that's how the story went, the real story.
Yeah.
And that they put the woman on the phone and told her she basically had to strip search in front of this person to prove that she didn't, or they would come and arrest her. And so it's this whole thing about what people will do when faced with an authority figure.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to tell you anything else about
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Okay,
no, I
but
wanna see this.
he is involved in it in
Okay.
one way, shape, or form.
Okay.
And his character is, I mean, it's amazing. You know, it's really amazing.
Okay.
And it is not the genie. It's not Mork and
Yeah.
Mindy. This guy is intense.
But you know, we see Robin Williams in so many comedic fashions, and he's wonderful at
Right.
it. You know, but again, to his range, he can go from these crazy happy moments that have you belly laughing to bawling your eyes out. You know, and
Or
I think,
scared crapless.
You
which
know,
is-
or scared crapless. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess I don't really know what's going on with that one. I have to go watch that. But,
So, side note here.
side note.
Okay, so did you know that the Detective Benson,
Yeah. Detective Olivia Benson.
right, her character, I mean, the actor who plays her, Marguerite, okay, did you know that she is Jane Mansfield's daughter?
I didn't.
Okay, she is.
Okay.
And have you ever seen the back of an 18-wheeler truck, and it has that thing that comes down and it goes across? Okay, that is called a Mansfield bar. And the story is that Jane Mansfield, her husband, and this little girl, back at Margaret State, I'm so sorry, I'm butchering that, were driving through Louisiana foggy night and crashed into the back of an 18-wheeler
Oh.
before they had those things. And as you can imagine, it was horrible.
Fatal.
But because she was a little girl, she was down below. So it started a whole thing, and our Congress and Senate and all passed a new law that said all of the 18-wheelers would have to have that bar
Yeah.
to keep cars from going under it, and they named it after her.
I didn't. Look at that little tidbit.
Little tidbit.
I like
King of useless information.
I love that.
Yeah. So, anyway, so that's my
Okay.
honorable mention .5
Okay, that was your
or my
0.5
5
that you
0.5.
slipped in at the end. But
Okay.
you know what? If you're going in order, I just did 5. So I'm going to need your 5.
Okay. So, I figured it would be okay for me to do that because we
your
have
show.
well, that too. I love hearing that. I do. I love hearing it. Because we've kind of already talked about my number 5. So it is our first crossover. Okay. But again,
Can I guess?
Yeah, sure. Come
I
on.
don't know. The last time I did this, I got it wrong.
That's okay. Give it
Is
a
it
try.
Mrs. Doubtfire?
No.
You went sitcom-y?
I went Mork and Mindy.
Yeah, you did.
So
Aw.
again, I was that
Like
age.
Morty.
Yeah. I loved my favorite Orkin, which was season 5 episode, 1978.
specific.
You know me. And it's kind of a take on a TV show from the 60s called My Favorite Martian, who starred Bill Bixby, who would later on become the Incredible Hulk, and Ray Walston, who was the gardener in Star Trek: The Next Generation, Boothby. Okay, so anyway, so this is kind of a new version of that, where Mork attempts, to learn about humanity, and Fonzie, is like trying to be very protective, and does it. Yeah, the Fonzie. And again, it was so well received, like you said, that they offered him his own show, which then took place in current time in Boulder, Colorado, and they hired Pam Dauber to be Mindy, and it was just a fantastic show. And as you know, at the end of the shows, he would phone home, basically, and then later on, have you watched all of 4 seasons?
Yes.
Okay, so Jonathan Winters comes on as a baby.
Yeah.
Oh my God, comedic genius. They really was. So that cast was...
And his improvisation there.
What? Oh my God.
Almost all of it.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Did you know there's actually a toy, a Mork toy that comes in its egg? Yeah.
No.
Oh yeah, it's like it's one of those things where it's very hard to find it together because it was very flimsy, but it's a little Mork with his arms straight out and his legs straight out, Anyway, yeah. But
in Goodwills across the country, all of those are found in scattered parts.
everywhere.
For sure.
Everywhere.
For sure.
So a couple of catchphrases. Nanu-Nanu.
No.
We said that all the time, in elementary school and middle school, and then Shazbot. Again, so we would say that instead of saying some other words that we say frequently now. We said many of them tonight. Teach him once again.
What's your favorite noun, adjective,
verb? So I did not know this, but at one time the Nielsen ratings were Laverne and Shirley, Happy Days, and Mork and Mindy, all from the same people. All the crossovers and everything had all, and it was
that
like,
is wonderful.
Yes. So anyway, it was really, really great, and that is my number 5 that we have already talked about. 5. Yeah.
And you know what? It's one I'm okay with. I mean, I'm okay with crossing over with all of these, but
this is a good one.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping that my number 4, maybe you don't have. Maybe you do.
Let's find out.
I don't know. Okay. Well. Jumping right in, my number 4 is Robin Williams' character portrayal of John Keating. Pull that deep pull. It's really not that deep. It's not that
Goodwill Hunting? No, Dead Poet Society.
It's from 1989's Dead Poet Society. This is the one where Robin plays the character of a newly hired English teacher.
Should we stand up on the desk while we're doing it?
No, I don't know.
Yes, your dad gave me this desk, though.
Oh, did he?
Yes.
Oh, thanks,
Wouldn't let me pay for it. So.
Love that. But I'm sure mostly everybody, I feel like, would have seen this classic film by now.
I have.
I would say, I know you have. I'm sure you have. But, everybody
there are 12
else
people out there listening to the show and watching us that may not have seen it.
But, so you have Robin Williams, like I said, playing a English teacher at an all-boys preparatory school. And it's a school that, as you could imagine, does not support and encourage a lot of unique traits. It's very uniform, and this is school, and Robin Williams didn't go for that.
Right.
Which, again, I think is a character portrayal moment of why it fits so well for him, because he's not a cookie cutter type person. And this is one of those portrayals that, yes, it had its cute little laugh moments and, oh, he said this and that made me smile, but his whole portrayal of this character, I feel like, is just such a tearjerker. Right. The way that he was able to unify and move an entire body of students to react the way they did about poetry, and the support of him as the school was trying to fire him for being a non-kosher type teacher. I just loved it. Yeah. I feel like I felt rallied in that moment to support Robin in anything that he ever did, and I'm still here. Oh, Captain, my Captain. But yeah, so that's my number 4.
It's an awesome one. Another great portrayal.
I love his portrayal in that film.
I'm so with you there. So, is there some particular part in that whole movie that really stands out to you?
There are a couple of parts that stand out. They're not necessarily Robin moments.
Okay.
But I will say one of the most Robin moments for me that stands out in that film is there's one student whose name I'm not remembering. He's being sent to this all-boys preparatory academy by his incredibly strict father.
Okay.
And this student gets to the point of comfortability with Robin as his teacher, John Keating, and comes to him and basically starts to explain his desire for art and theater and all of those things that, at the time that this is portrayed in and where they are at and the family that he comes from is it's against the socio-normative, it's just, you don't do it, you don't talk about it. And he was really not in a good mental state about that. Mm-hmm. And he was heavily, heavily encouraged by Robin Williams, this teacher that, I guess this is kind of the point that I was alluding to when I said the way that he was kind of able to rally these students, that not only were they rallied, to learn and rallied to, have fun and, obviously in support of him, when the school board's trying to take him down, but the way that he was able to rally these kids to, you don't have to live necessarily by the norms that are set here.
Right.
And, you really should explore and enjoy your life and go out there and live. And really it's kind of what brought up the whole point of the Dead Poet Society is, well, this isn't something we were supposed to do, but it's something we all found art and enjoyment in, so we did it.
Yeah.
You know, it kind of showed the way that bending the rules isn't necessarily always a bad thing.
Yeah.
And I just loved that message.
Oh,
I will say
awesome.
I loved that.
Yeah, it made a powerful impact on
It did. It did. So, you know, again, it's very hard to pick from all of his portrayals.
Yeah.
But I tried really hard to pick the ones that, you know, they stuck with me. And that one definitely did.
Yeah. Oh,
it definitely did.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Got that one written down.
So that's my number 4. You get to follow it.
Okay, so if I had to pick one movie, aside from Popeye, that I was pretty positive would not be on your list.
Okay.
Not for any of reasons of his portrayal or the movies or anything, but just that it wouldn't be in your real wheelhouse.
Okay.
That is going to be the 2002 movie called 1 Hour Photo. Now, I would love to be wrong about this, okay? But what you have to understand is that in this time period, we had these big stores, and we had one here in Lafayette that was called Far More, and it had the best VHS movie selections that you could get to, and it had, you know, all of this, you know, groceries and stuff. It's kind of like a Kmart, Walmart type deal, and it had a photo booth in it. And so back before you could take all your pictures on your phone, you would have to use a camera, and then you would take it. And so, yes.
Yeah.
And so this is the movie about a guy named Cy Parrish, who is the guy who would develop those films. And so watching this movie, he obviously is off, okay?
Yeah.
And he starts to have these fantasies about the people he sees, and like he's part of their family. And all
I've seen it.
You have?
I have seen it.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Again, speaking to his range, because that portrayal is not really in his normative wheelhouse of either drama or comedy.
No.
It was very much its own thing.
Yes, it was. And for me, at least, being that you weren't of the age to do those things, it really made us stop and go, wow. I mean, there are people who not only know our lives through the pictures, but everybody that comes in. Nowadays, it's machines that do it all, even if they still do it, you know. It's machine. But back then...
That's like the root of the gossip tree, right there.
It is.
Right?
It is, because he's going to...
He would know.
Yeah. And it's just kind of strange in this portrayal of how he went down this really dark path. And especially, do you remember the very end of the movie?
Yes.
Oh, man. Just, you know, just falls into that fantasy is that he's their friend.
Something else that he's not.
Yeah. And I just... And the way he but he
looked, believes it.
He does.
You know, he truly, and I think that, and again, I tried to pick stuff that really resonated with me on a personal level, and that one did not. But I love that it's on your list, because I think that, again, not in a favorite movie sense, but that's not what we're doing, but portrayal, the fact that he was able to really show somebody that...
Darkness.
Demented.
Yes.
Demented would be the word that would come to mind for me, of just really, truly twisted in no touch with reality.
No.
At the end of the film, you know, no touch with reality.
No. And you know, that's one of the things that you kind of worry about, is that this guy doesn't think he's doing anything wrong.
No.
You know, he was completely...
It's his job. He was given permission.
Yeah.
He was given the authority to look at all this.
Yeah. So, anyway, I've seen the movie a couple of times. It is not a favorite movie of mine by any means.
Yeah.
But his
like
portrayal,
I said, not mine, but his portrayal.
His portrayal of it is just so creepy. It just like makes your skin crawl. You know?
But again, that's why we chose this list in the way that it's set in. Right. We could go pick great movies that he was in all day long.
Right.
But it is not, I feel like, wholly serving to him to do that, because to me, especially the ones, you know, that are on these lists, he made that character and he made the movie for the way that he acted.
Just a brilliant idea for a podcast. I can't even. To be honest, I don't even remember who came up with the idea. We'll just say that we both did.
Me. Okay, it's
but
fine.
let's go with that.
We are talking about demented, deranged men in their own world.
We're out of touch with reality.
I mean, listen, it's fine.
That's me.
It's okay. Right on to number 3.
Your number 3.
My number 3. Well, if you heard, for all of my friends out here, all 12 of you, plus the mail lady. Remember?
That's true. I forget about the mail lady.
Oh my God, what was her name? Rhonda.
Help me, Rhonda.
Something like that.
Well, probably she doesn't watch the show.
Yeah.
So okay.
She's here. She's here in spirit. I know. When she brings the mail on Monday, I give her a card to make sure that she knows. I'll just put on a little flag. That'll be great. Where was I? Oh, 3! Trace! Yes, 3.
That's Spanish.
That is. I came back from Mexico yesterday.
You did.
I can count to 10 now, so it's wonderful. I can also ask where the bathroom is, and the beach, and tacos. Those are the 3. Banos.
So close.
El Baño. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and the Ir a la Playa, if you want to go to the beach.
Oh.
Yeah, so I really only needed the tacos, the beach, and the bathroom while I was there.
And you know how to say cerveza.
And I know how to say margarita. That translates the
same.
If you guys are wondering, it's pretty universal. And the tequila es muy bueno.
Muy bueno, not for me.
Es muy bueno. No, tequila's not your...
That's a whole nother
you know
story
what?
for a different show.
Different podcast. Maybe we'll talk about our top 5 favorite drinks.
Not with the T word.
Not with the...
I'm going to start giving you lashes.
Please.
Just saying. All right.
A margarita for every time that I say that. I will suffer. So the reason why I started to mention to everybody out there, if you heard the last Fave 5 episode, which was the Marvel projects with Lily Dot, there was a moment that she kept talking about how much she had watched Avengers as a kid. And you discussed remembering how much she watched it over and over and over. And as a parent, you would know. I mean, you would remember it because, good God, you had to watch it 17 times in 1 week. And my next, in my fave, is a movie that I watched so much as a child until the VHS tape burned out, could not be rewinded anymore.
See, this story, if he hadn't said it already, I would say it would have been Aladdin.
Now say, what if I gave you the year?
Wait, is it Hook?
It is.
Yes!
Hook. It is Hook.
Wow.
So, that is Robin Williams' character portrayal of Peter Banning, or as we come to find out through the film, spoiler alert, because it is now 31 years old. It's Peter Pan.
Yeah.
So this is like one of the original Disney live action films. And I think this one really just stuck with me because of how much I loved it. And it was, I think, because keep in mind, deadpoetssociety I didn't see until I was older. Right?
Wouldn't have been the same to you.
And it wouldn't have been the same to me. So I'm glad, that I didn't. But when I saw Aladdin, and I don't know which one came first, I would imagine it was probably Aladdin, a cartoon, more so than before I would see a live action film. But I didn't know Genie as Robin Williams. I knew I loved Genie.
Right.
But I didn't know that I loved Genie because it was Robin Williams at this point in time. And when I saw him on screen for the first time and fell in love with his character and knew who he was, it was this film. And that's part of the reason why this one means... it's a connection to me, and and it doesn't help that I just love Peter Pan. That's just one of my favorite stories ever, because I think it's also something to be spoken a little bit that kids always want to grow up, and I'm telling you, his portrayal in that film as a kid made me brokenhearted at the idea. I never wanted to grow up. I wanted to run home, Jack. I just I wanted to sit there, but I love that film.
Wow.
I love that movie.
Yeah. And do you ever realize the fact that both Mrs. Doubtfire and Tootsie are in the same movie?
Yes. See, yes.
Of course, you and I could make that connection.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
I just love that film.
Yeah. It's a great film.
It's just great.
It's a great
wonderful.
Film. Yeah. Didn't even come close to making my list, though.
It did not.
No. Even Julia Roberts' Tinkerbell.
Really? No, and I will tell you something as a kid, and I think it's just... as a kid, we make connections of, no, things are supposed to be one way. When I saw Julia Roberts for the first time, as cool as I thought that it was, that Tinkerbell became lifelike, you know, I was so wholly disturbed that she wasn't blonde. I was like, get this redheaded Tinkerbell out of here.
It's funny, that's what you know. She's
no,
redheaded.
I remember that as a kid, of just like, that can't be Tinkerbell, that's not right. But no, everything about it. Rufio, and I will tell you, to this moment, you know, something that I do at almost every family gathering type meal, something that really stuck with me, and it was one of those, like, huge childhood wonder things of seeing so much magic on screen that was not animated.
Right.
You know, like,
right.
that was huge for me at that time. Like seeing her come to life, or seeing them fly through the air, or I guess the thing that I'm thinking about the most that just... I love this scene, and it's so wholesome, and it brings so much joy to me, is the feast with all the Lost Boys, where you have to have the imagination, and they're all just running around saying, why aren't you eating, and why aren't you eating, and that's when it clicks for him.
Right.
You know, like, that's the moment that he's like, oh, this is actually a legitimate thing, and, like, I can still be a child as an adult, you know, which I think, you know, also just speaks to...
Oh, God, we can only tap into that.
You know, which is, you know, is a very tip of the iceberg of... You know, again, that's why I love him for this portrayal, because that's so much just him in his childlike wonder and the way that he views the world.
Yeah.
And, you know, you can really see that in this film.
Wow.
And I love his character portrayal.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Pest bump. Well, that was my number 3. I'm guessing we're not going to have a crossover because you said it wasn't on your list, so I'm really wondering what your number 3 is.
No, we are going to have another crossover.
Just not the exact one I just said.
No.
Oh.
Hello!
I knew that was going to be on your list.
Do you see the tooth indentions from when I was biting the tongue?
You were trying so hard, and I was like, we're going to talk about this later.
Oh my God, this movie is so funny. And the way that, again, and I talked about that already, how much, you know, I love that he put into the dad character. And being a dad now, I could really relate to some of that stuff. Oh, excuse me. But the Mrs. Doubtfire and his friend, that did the makeup and stuff for him.
His brother. It's his brother.
Firestein.
Yep, starts with an F.
Yeah,
I remember that.
I think it's Firestein. But anyway,
something like that. But yeah,
Harvey Feinstein.
Yeah.
The way that they went through the makeup processes and stuff, you know, and then he gave him like the kind of the hot looking chick look, and he settled on this, and just the way that he literally became that character.
I mean, if you had not seen him dress up, and I mean, and of course, I mean, we're talking about, you know, what year did that come out again?
It came out in 1993.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not that we were necessarily at the point of CGIing, you know, a woman's face and makeup on him, you know, but I think that even if you had not seen him get together and, you know, get all dressed up and makeup on and everything in that film, you definitely would have done a double glance before you would have known,
I agree.
Oh,
I agree.
That's him. Yeah. You know what I mean? But again, that's not really speaking to the physical features and the effects. That's just the portrayal of the character. The fact that he really, at certain points in that film, you really start to think, what is his nanny doing? Oh, that's the dad. Oh, whoops. You know, I love that pick.
Yeah,
I love that pick.
My favorite scene of all of that entire movie is the woo part when she's coming to see his apartment, the Child Protective Services, I think, or whatnot, and he loses the mask, and then like the garbage truck runs over it, and he's just standing, just you know, puts it in, and I wonder if that was. I'm
sure that it wasn't scripted.
I wonder how they did that. You know, if it was scripted. It was amazing, but if it wasn't scripted, he just was a genius, you know?
I mean, but that's why it's so wonderful, is I would not have put it past him to have just scripted the whole thing. And like we said earlier, they pretty much gave him full range to just script whatever he wanted. Right. So.
And I loved, at the end of the movie, honestly, that he and Sally Field, who gave a great portrayal, like you said, didn't get back together.
Yes.
You know, because too many times that the Hollywood stories, everything works out, and I mean, true life is that things don't always work out.
And, I think that representation, like Lily talked about during the, your Marvel episode, representation on film is so important, because if you're a person that watches movies, especially a family movie, I feel like that, representation of what is seemingly a broken family, but they're still making it work, I feel like is so important to be shown on screen that, you know what? It doesn't have to end with them together for you guys to still be working together to do what's best for the kids, and that your parents are still loving you. And I don't know, I would wholly agree with that point.
Yeah. And I love the fact that she, and rightly so, he was kind of a dunderhead. I mean, he wasn't doing things right, you know, and that he was able to show, because of his love for the kids, that he was a good father. And then that whole thing, and of course it's kind of hard to swallow that he did all of that bad stuff in her eyes at one point, and he turned it around. But then that he turned that show into his own show, and that letter from the little girl, it was so well done without being a real tearjerker.
Yeah.
I just thought it was a great ending, and again, a great Robin Williams portrayal.
Agreed. Agreed. What a
All
wonderful
right.
pick.
Thank you.
What a wonderful pick.
Who would have thought I would have picked that? Okay, so that means we are down to our final... Oh, I can't read that far,
You
girl.
should. I printed it really big.
No.
You guys, I think he's trying to scout out and look at what...
Okay, come on. Good time you've used yourself
Scout's
as a
honor,
word.
I won't do it again. I just feel like you're trying to look at my notes. Don't jump ahead. I'm getting there.
I'm not reading your number 2,
which is from 1996.
Okay.
It is rated R. Do you have any idea?
1996 rated R.
I'm going to go ahead and ruin it for him, you guys. He already talked about it at one point on this podcast. And
Patch Adams.
I am not obsessed with Patch Adams in the way that I'm obsessed with Robin Williams' portrayal of Armand Goldman.
Oh, Birdcage.
From Birdcage. Oh my God, I freaking love this movie.
With
and
Nathan
again,
Lane?
Yes.
Timon or Pumbaa, whichever one.
It would have been Timon. Okay. I'm sure.
Timon and Genie.
Which also Nathan Lane love. Yes. Shout out.
Oh
but
and Lex Luthor.
Yeah, I mean, so many wonderful people in the whole film. But if you haven't seen it out there, again,
it's fun.
Go watch it. Robin Williams plays. Do I start with the family aspect? Do I start with the career aspect?
Let's start with the career.
The career.
Yeah.
So Armand Goldman is a Miami club owner, and his club is a drag club.
Right.
So he puts on drag shows, and that's his nightclub. His partner, his husband, played by Nathan Lane, they share a child together. Ish. And the film starts out with this child proposing to his female fiance, and they have to tell her family, that it's time for the families to meet, but her family is very disapproving of their lifestyle, as it were.
Is he like a senator? That's the...
So that is part of it, is that her father is a senator, and it is election year, and in no way could be caught up in a drag nightclub in Miami Beach.
Right.
And anyway, so basically the whole film is showing...
Hilarity ensues of,
his other drag film, where him and, Nathan Lane, they dress Nathan Lane up as a woman, try to portray that as the son's biological mother, and then the biological mother actually shows up. I mean, it's just wonderful. But again, I think that that's one of his portrayals that I love, because that movie is equally as heartfelt as it is. I mean, hilarious isn't even the word.
Yeah.
I mean, you will double over laughing. I mean, it's fantastic. But again, it's one of his father characters, of his support of his son, and making sure that he goes to such great lengths and puts himself out in so many ways to make sure that his son is comfortable and that her family is taken care of. And I just love his portrayal of that character. And I don't think that there's anybody in the world that could have done that film except for him.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, have you ever seen the original French version?
I have not.
Yeah. I saw it after watching the Birdcage. And I think they did like 2 or 3 of them.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, but of course, by far, they did the best job.
Yeah.
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 USA! USA!
But that is my number 2.
Okay.
I am so sad to be getting close to the end here,
Okay.
but I would love to know what your number 2 is.
My number 2 can be summed up in 3 words. Good morning, Vietnam! Oh.
That was on my long/short list.
Was it?
It really
Was
was. It really was. It's right here. It's right here.
See that? Yes, it is.
It is.
Jumanji, huh? Mm.
I did. Well, this is my mixed list.
Patch Adams is actually
this
on
is
there.
my mixed list of I want to discuss and the ones. Okay, I put Jack on there. You know that that's not my favorite. Come on. No, just ones that I wanted to bring up.
Yeah.
But yes, what a good pick.
Yeah, I love
a good pick.
It is from 1987. I did see this in the theater.
Okay.
And I remember, obviously...
I'm sorry, what year was that again?
1987.
1987.
It was 5 years before you were born? No.
No, baby.
No. I met my friend Tyler came in today, and I realized that he was born in 92 as well. But so I was thinking, no, because you're fixing to be next week, as a matter of fact, 24. It is the 4th anniversary of your 24th birthday.
It is. What a wonderful day.
Again, I literally have T-shirts older than you, but that's why I love you. Yeah?
Listen, and that's why Robin Williams and Star Wars and Disney and all of the other topics that we will cover in the future are so wonderful, because anyone can connect on them.
So I love this movie. I think it came out around the same time. And of course we're talking about Portrayals, but it came out around the same time, I want to say, that Forrest Gump did. And I could be very wrong on that, so I'm just saying. Somebody out there will correct me. The thing that strikes me, aside from his amazing portrayal of Crowder, Adrian Crowder, is the soundtrack. You know, the soundtrack to both of those movies are incredible. And he actually plays with the music like it's his cast member. Yeah. You know? And he gets into this role, and the role is the disc jockey, and it changes and morphs into something bigger than him. Yeah. And I loved watching the way in this film, the way that he brought you up and down and kind of amazed you and horrified you sometimes. Yeah. My dad was in Vietnam, and there's kind of 2 schools of people. If you want to really, really base it down, there are those people who it defines them and they talk about it a lot. And then there's those people like my dad who went over there, they did their duty, and they come home and were able to just put it away.
Shut it off.
Of course, he ultimately ended up couldn't do that. He was sprayed with Agent Orange, and he got cancer 3 times. But that was a downer. But
and that's okay.
Yeah. But okay. We watched this movie before, and that was one of the things that he told me is the music, because it brought him back, to hearing a lot of that. So after he had his surgery over there, he ended up driving a Jeep around for a wax Colonel, as a matter of fact, But that music is what really brought him back to it, So it's kind of cool. But I love the way that he portrays Adrian, and in the end when he's locked himself in, it's very powerful, Yeah. So I loved how he could be funny in this role.
In such a again, kind of a serious role.
Yeah, it was, and that kind of made it all the more real, because that's how a lot of people are. We have our funny sides, but we also have our very serious sides.
Yeah.
And not even knowing it back then, that role really spoke to me, so.
Yeah.
Anyway, I love that.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, good morning, Vietnam.
Good morning, Vietnam.
I will tell you.
Or, as the movie ends, goodbye, Vietnam.
Goodbye, Vietnam. Yeah. This is not my last-ditch effort to just keep this going, as I really don't want to get to number ones and just have it end. But I'm sure you've watched through The Office.
Oh,
Do you remember the episode where Dwight goes to win Salesman of the Year, and he gets up to give a very pieced together speech as given to him by Jim, and he ends up wowing the crowd, but all Jim did was literally pick from famous speeches throughout history. He pulled one from like Mussolini, he pulled one from like Stalin. He pulled from like all over the place, but he pulled from the script of that.
No way.
Dwight gets up there by starting, and he gets up in front, and he's so nervous, and it takes him forever to get up there, and he finally gets up on stage to this group of salesmen that are just waiting for him to give a thanks for my award off the stage type ordeal. Right. And he just stares the crowd to death. And in really no good or no Robin Williams portrayal at all, he just starts hitting the pulpit and he goes, "Good morning, Vietnam!" And everybody's like, where is this going? And I just loved that they brought that up, that it was cool.
So, I kind of get a feeling you really like The Office. Is that a fair assumption?
I would, yes, that's a fair assumption.
So, how much do you love The Office?
I have platinum packages to go to DunderCon in New Jersey next week.
DunderCon? What is that? Wait, next week? That's your birthday.
It is. I'm going for my birthday.
That's awesome.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
My only birthday wish is to hug Brian Baumgartner. I just want to see him so bad.
That's Chili Boy.
Yes,
yes,
Kevin.
Kevin, that's it. Yeah.
Kevin Malone. Yes, I'm going next week.
That is
Thank you for remembering that. I'm so jacked up. I'm so excited.
Can't remember what I had for breakfast yesterday, but
I
can know that you're going to
You know that we're going. Thomas and I were, my husband, Thomas and I were just talking the other day about, we think we might want to do some very loose cosplay while we're there.
Oh.
And so there's one episode that we both really like. I think it's in season 2, where you see them on Halloween, and Jim is dressed up as 3-Hole Punch Jim, because that's something that's just easy to do and walk around, and we have a couple of little characters.
Doesn't Pam dress up as like a princess doctor at one point?
She does. That's after their daughter's born.
Oh, okay.
Because her daughter is really into princesses and doctors, and her mom really, Jenna Fisher plays, Pam, and really wants to show her that both are possible, so she comes dressed up,
That's awesome.
Not my favorite Halloween character out of her, though, which, again, different podcast, but this is when she goes and is living in New York doing art school, and she goes to work in the other office, shows up in full dress as Edgar Allan Poe, and
they don't do it.
And they don't do Halloween there. And so she freaks out, and she was like, I can't sit in here dressed up like this because I look crazy, and she made a really good Edgar Allan
I'll have to go look that up.
But then she goes, but I can't take the hat off because then I'm Hitler. Because she had a waxed mustache right down the front of her lip. It was just, it's just
hilarious.
Wonderful. All of their Halloween episodes, I feel like, are fantastic. But
wow. Would you compare it to the Community Halloween episode where they eat the bad meat?
That one is good. Don't get me wrong. That one is good.
Lily would be able to tell us the name of that episode, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Yeah, and Community's fantastic. Yeah. Love Community. Not to the effect that I would remember the name of the episode, because there are so many, and a lot of them are kind of off the wall.
Yeah.
But
love them.
But yes. So that is my.
So have you danced around?
That's my large beat around the bush to get to my number one. And I will tell you why I made it such a large bush to dance around. Okay?
So it's a large shrubbery.
It is. So I'm going to say something that might blow your mind a little bit, based on some other conversations that we have had about other movies.
I swear to God, you say Patch Adams. I don't know what it is about that movie.
You have a vendetta for this film.
I saw that movie at the theater.
I'm going to need you to uncover at
the
some
Dollar
point and
Theater.
really handle in yourself.
And I want my $1 back to this day.
No.
Just
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I'd rather watch Jack than...
No. Okay. Listen, I have a list of films that we could discuss, and that both of those are
Moscow on the Hudson.
That is not on my list. That's not on my list.
We discussed that tonight as,
Yes,
as favorite
yes,
Russians.
yes.
You know, so.
Anyway, I digress.
Okay. Number one. We're ready for number one.
Something that might surprise you about this film before I tell you what it is, because I promise you the hype is worth it.
Okay.
Not only is this my favorite film that Robin Williams is in, if we're talking about films.
Okay.
Not only is it my favorite Robin Williams portrayal of a character, but this film is actually my number one all-time favorite film that has ever come out. And when I play that party game, you know, where people are, oh, if you're on a desert island, you can only take one food, you can only take one movie, you only take one book. This would be my resounding answer every single time.
Okay. Let me ask you, did this movie take place before 1990?
No.
Okay, I have no idea what it's going to be then.
You do. Okay. You do. Oh my God. It's just so wonderful. I could go on forever, so I really don't even know where to start, but I'm talking about Robin Williams' character portrayal of Sean Maguire in Good Will Hunting.
Oh, okay. How you like them apples? I know that's not him, but I love that.
Yes, but I do. And I'm telling you, that line and all of its renditions across TV shows and books and movies and everything, I just love.
Complete disarray intros.
Correct.
Though I shortened it. So
yes,
anyway.
You did. His portrayal in this film, I'm not going to give all of the credit to the fact that I'm going to school for this major to his portrayal of this character, but it would be amiss to say that it did not set me off on this path.
So this brings a very good point. Are you comfortable sharing what you're headed toward? Because we talk about you, Dr. Astronaut Mouseketeer Captain.
And as you keep adding on all of these titles, and eventually, you know, we'll have a podcast where we just discuss where all of them came from. But I am in school right now to get my doctorate in philosophy of general psychology. And I think that it is utterly brilliant, as it is shown in this film, the way that somebody can really dig deep inside of you, almost seemingly without you knowing, as he does in this film.
Like you do.
It happens. Listen, this is what I'm going for. Robin Williams showed me, you know, talk to him about it. But the way that he is able to connect with, you know, the main character of this film, which I think is another good thing, that he's not the main character, but his portrayal is still so resounding that, like, this is what I remember this film for, you know. But the way that he was able to take this rough around the edges kid, even though it was court mandated therapy, you know, the way that he was able to connect with this kid who was so guarded, and the way that he was able to be open and vulnerable about his own personal life and really dig deep and pull something in from this kid that, I mean, it changed his whole life.
Right.
You know, it changed his entire life. And in return, it kind of changed his, you know, because as we know at the end of the film, he ended up going and traveling the world like he always intended to do before his wife passed away, you know, something that he shared with Matt Damon, the main character. But, I mean, there are just no words.
Yeah. I
love this film. And I love that character more than I love any character in any other thing.
Wow. Just learning so much.
It is.
No, that's really awesome.
I love that. And, you know, my fun little tidbit from this, you know, as I'm sure you remember from the film, if you have seen it.
Oh, God, yeah.
The 1,000+ times that I have.
Maybe 3.
This was not a film in which he was given a lot of room to improvise.
Yeah, okay. I could see that.
You know, this inherently, you know, and understandably was way more of a scripted film. There was not as much, you know, not as much freelancing going on here. but one of the scenes that he did forget a line and did come up with on the fly and improvise the whole thing that they kept was one of his scenes where you finally start to see, Robin Williams kind of etching away and really digging into, the struggles that this young man has going on, from his abusive past life. And it's when he's sitting there talking about his wife. And it's the story that he shares about those intimate, tiny little moments that only he would know about with his wife. That made it his wife and made it so special to him. And I mean, he was sitting there talking about his wife's flatulence in bed, and he came up with that on the fly, but then very, quickly turned it from a comedic, comment to a very heartfelt, and that really is the first stepping stone that led to that character, the younger character allowing his guard to be down.
Right.
And I think that the fact that they kept that, I love, and I think that is why this is not only, like I said, my favorite film, my favorite Robin Williams film, but my favorite character portrayal, in that, yes, it was a character that was scripted for him to play, but you can't tell me otherwise that if Robin Williams went and sat with somebody in that same position, that he couldn't get them to let their guard down and open up and become vulnerable and change their life the way that he did for a character.
Wow.
Wow,
that's
and
impressive.
that is why it's my favorite.
Okay. So awesome. I never knew that. That's really cool. That's the one that sets you on your path.
This one I had figured out before I ever even came to you with this idea.
Really? So this was really just a setup.
This
so
was really a setup so that I could talk about this movie.
That's okay, and I respect you for that.
Which is great. So I'm really hoping that you have something good to follow it up with your number one. I mean, and it will be good. It will be great.
It will be good. It will be good. And it's funny that that my number one we have actually already discussed.
Okay.
And I find it interesting that your number one is probably, arguably, one of his least Robin Williams portrayals. That it was very scripted for him, and he had to stay in those lines, but yet he was able to evoke the emotional connections that you got out of it.
To still draw that out.
Right, so that's, that again speaks to his range and to his abilities. Where my number one is probably the movie that we might both agree that he was the most Robin Williams in. And I am, of course, talking about Aladdin from 1992. I had never heard that story about them animating his stuff, but the story that I did hear was that when he recorded his voice, that ordinarily the animation does it, and then you do your. I can't believe it. You're the one that drove.
Oh my gosh, it's only whatever time you're listening. It's whatever time you're listening, but it's only 11:03.
I know. I'm an old man. I'm in bed by this time.
Listen, on your last podcast, you don't use the old word. You don't use the old. You use the classic.
Classic. But I did hear that this is one of the first times that they ever got all of the dialogue and then drew the character doing it, because they wanted to give him as much range as they could. Yep. And I love the scenes. Of course, we know that Lily, and you'll hear Lily's rendition at the end of this episode, Friend Like Me. But I loved how he just seamlessly changed from Genie to Jack Benny, and then back, and then he would change to this character and that character, and it was just flawless, And for them to come back and animate that happening around him was just spoke to his comedic genius.
You're totally right, and maybe you know this, maybe you don't, but almost the entirety of the time that they were sitting there drawing it up and animating it, he was with them.
No.
He didn't go in and just do the voice for that. He stuck with the project the whole way
I
because
did not
he fell
know that.
in love with it.
Yeah.
And, you know, exactly like, you know, what we said earlier and what you just said. They 100% created that character for him. For him.
Yeah.
And it was wonderful.
Yeah.
I mean, it was so good.
Yeah.
So good.
Yes.
Robin.
And I do love that very first scene. I didn't know that story either.
Yeah.
I do love that very first scene because it does kind of, you know, he brings you into that world, and then later on it clicks, well, he was the genie.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean,
and
he
it was
draws
his
you
world.
in, and I will tell you, I mean, I've seen that movie a countless number of times, as I have, you know, every movie on this list, and that's not something that I connected.
Yeah.
You know, for a while until I heard that story.
Yeah.
And then the
fingers
fingers part, and I heard those. I don't remember which one I heard first, but you know they were close in sequence, and I don't know. I think it's just, again, I would really love to know, and you know, maybe love to think that those are Easter eggs that he chose to put in there.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, obviously, I know that he didn't know about the whole, you know, peddler, but you know, the whole 4 fingers, and you know, just adds to all of his little tidbits that he put in his Easter eggs. You know, in his Friend Like Me dance.
Yeah. Oh, God, I love that. I've told you Lily's done that for her showcase.
I mean,
if I could find that video and she would allow me, I would put it at the end of this because she's just amazing.
I would love if you would talk her into that. That would
if
be
not,
fantastic.
I'll see if I can get just special viewing just for you.
That would be wonderful. That would be wonderful.
Wow. So now we're done.
That's it. Now I drive all the way home.
Yeah, well, why don't you, you know, go back to your dad's house and sleep.
I'll sleep for a little
Okay,
bit.
and then go, because you did have a total of, what, 4.25 hours sleep before you drove 13 hours?
I think it was less than that math-wise, but yeah, something of that sort.
Well, then you probably caught some sleep on the way here in the straight stretches of highway, right?
It was fine. I mean, when you hit the hover lane,
Right,
you know, nobody else is out there in the hover lane during rush hour except for me, you know, because you're supposed to have multiple people, so it's fine. You just close your eyes
that's the
for a
great
little
thing
bit.
about multiple personalities. You know?
Yeah, I mean, it counts.
Yeah, exactly.
It counts.
Exactly. I'm so excited to do this because just, you know, and it never has even come to my mind the fact that that we would be able to do it together. You know?
I know.
It's so awesome.
Not that our other shows weren't wonderful.
Oh,
because they were, but
yes, they are.
I mean, they're awesome. But, you know, I think that, and again, not that I didn't love our other things that we talked about, but Robin Williams means so much to me as a person.
Yeah.
You know, and I love being a second favorite guest on the show, reoccurring. And I love that we got to do this one in person, if we were going to have one to do in person.
And, you know, I love, one of the things so much I love about the show is when I get somebody just like this, who loves the subject matter so much that, you know, and I have a great appreciation for it as well, but I don't love it to the level that you do, or like Cody loves mafia films, you know, and so it draws me back into something, and I learn all of these new things, you know, and it's just wonderful. I'm just so glad you're here. Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
It's the love fest. So,
all right. Well, we'll cut all the sappiness out. You know, it is, you know, sad that, you know, it's time for it to end. But we'll have to on Watch Party. Maybe we'll we're gonna go through some of these. We're gonna have to.
We're gonna have to.
We're gonna
have a lot of episodes.
Yeah.
Well, again, thank you so much for coming into the Plastic Microphone Studios.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you out there in the podcast universe for joining us for this episode of Fave 5 from Fans. Don't forget, you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. You can find us, I got a link tree thing that's got all of my things. You can...
Email.
Email. You got the website. You can even record a message to us, and we can play it on the next episode.
And
we can play it at the end of this one.
If you want to send us fan mail,
or checks.
or more importantly, you know, I mean, if you want to send, you know,
checks.
You want to send Jamie checks or fan mail.
I'm
sure
a
message
2X shirt. You won't be able to get a shirt as cool as this one.
You won't. Somebody
wonderful got this shirt for me because they know me so well.
You know.
But you can do all of those things for us. Don't forget that Fave5 from Fans is part of the SIP network, where you can find us on sipnet.us, on Twitter, and on the gram as well. Well, that's it for this very cool video episode of Fave5 from Fans. Scout, once again, Captain, Dr., Astronaut Mouseketeer Scout, thank you for being here.
Jamie, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And remember, folks, it may not be the best. It may not be the favorite. No. What will it be? God, I'm so tired.
It may not be the best. It may not be your favorite.
No? See, you did it
no,
too. You're
it's because
tired.
you just said it. It may not be the best.
It may not be the most popular.
But if it's your favorite, it's good enough for us.
Thanks for joining us. Yay, we got it!
And have a good night. Or whatever time you're watching.
Yeah, whatever
as
time.
Lily
No
said.
drink.
Yep, sorry.
Yep.
Sorry,
Could be
Lily.
any time zone. Yep. Sorry.
I'll say good night. Good night.
Good night.